This is the final video. The wife's response to, would I be an asshole if I divorced my wife for getting a breast reduction? Her title, I ruined my marriage with my husband. How do I fix this? There's an editor's note here that there is some speculation that the wife is actually the husband making the post. Like the husband's claiming to be the wife and putting this up there. I'll weigh in on that after I read it. I've purposely not read her clapback so that you guys could get the raw rogue that it is. So let's see. But if it is him and I think it's him, I'm so fucking calling it out. I don't even know where to begin. I, 29 female, have always been on the thicker side. Even from a young age, I was always filled out. I always liked the lean, slender look, but my genetics had other ideas. I always had big boobs. I've been hot and cold towards them at different points in my life. I got to the point where I had a G cup. I thought about a breast reduction, but never did any real research. I've also been on the receiving end of a lot of staring. It feels like I couldn't just go outside my house without some guy trying to hit on me. 6 years ago, I met my husband. I'm going to call him, we're changing what she's calling him. We're calling him DC because he's a douche canoe. So every time you hear DC, just know that's the husband. I'm going to call him DC. DC and I met through friends and we immediately hit it off. He was tall, handsome, and funny as hell, but he was really sweet and caring. Early in our relationship, I was way less secure with my body and wanted to make sure that he liked how I looked. I asked DC about his thoughts on if I should get a breast reduction. He told me that they couldn't make them any more perfect if they tried. I laughed but asked for a serious answer. He said that he would need to understand why I wanted one. I told him that it's not like they hurt me or anything. I'm fortunate in that aspect. And he told me that I was beautiful and that he loved my body as much as he loved me. But if I didn't love my body as much as him, then he would suggest therapy. I was happy that he found me to be attractive. I took my small victory and moved on. DC and I dated for 3 years before he popped the question on my favorite hiking trail. It was perfect. We got married in 2021. And around a year ago, I guess, I had a small bout of depression. To DC's credit, he was on it. He knew something was wrong, but I didn't really even know myself. So I just told him that nothing was wrong. He would take time to listen to me talk. He would take me out on dates. And he just knew how to make sure that I knew he cared about me. I appreciate him from that. I would reassure him that nothing was wrong, but I think he knew. One day I was looking at the wedding photos and I just hated how I looked at the moment. I looked at my chest and felt like I looked very over-sexualized and trashy. I cried. All the thoughts of having that lean, slender look came back and I started researching breast reduction. I found a doctor that wasn't too far from my job. I called and made an appointment. The consult went well. I made a follow-up appointment going over some more details. We decided that I was a good candidate for surgery and I went home. Eventually, I got the call and scheduled it a few weeks later. During the weeks leading up to the date, I got a call that my insurance wouldn't cover the procedure. This gave me pause, but I knew that I had savings that could cover the costs. Unfortunately, this was supposed to be used for a new house for DC and myself since we lived in his house. I felt bad because throughout this entire process, I didn't tell DC about any of this. I knew he would tell me that I was beautiful and that I shouldn't spend the money on this, but to be honest, I didn't want to hear any of that. He has a habit of trying to fix everything. I had my mind made up that I was going to get the reduction and I would be happier for it. But I didn't tell him for so long that I felt like I couldn't say anything at this point. 1 week out from surgery, I was sitting in bed one day and he hops in bed and tells me that he would like to go over the meal plan for the next week, something we do every week. I froze because I knew that next week was going to look very different than usual. I told him that I had to tell him something. I told him that I was getting a breast reduction. He stopped for a split second and just laughed. I told him that I wasn't joking and that I was serious. He started asking me questions, and after 5 minutes or so, he realized that I was being serious. He looked shocked. He asked why I kept this from him for so long. I told him that I didn't want him to tell me that I was perfect and beautiful. I felt ugly and told him that it felt invalidating when he contradicted that. He told me that he tells me that because he loves me and he doesn't want me to feel bad about myself. He asked how long I knew, and I told him the truth. I told him that I knew for 4 months that I was getting the surgery. He just sat there looking at me. When I asked him what he was thinking, he said that he didn't know what to say. He just got up, gave me a hug, told me that he loved me, but that we needed to have a long talk after the surgery and after I healed up. The next week was a blur between the surgery, drugs, and pain meds. The first few days were very bad, pain wise, but after that, I mostly just felt drained. I would look at my chest and I only felt nervous. I had this fear that deep down I wouldn't like how I looked and would hate my chest. DC was a rock during this. He always made sure to tell me that I was beautiful and that he loved me. He also made sure I ate. He took care of the cooking and cleaning. He made sure I took my meds on time. He even changed his work schedule so that he would be at home when I was awake and paid his brother to stay at the house during the night in case I needed anything. But the big one was that he changed my dressings and cleansed me. DC has a thing with scars. He absolutely has no stomach for them. He will even turn his head away whenever I watch those medical shows on TV. A few years ago, he had a knee surgery. Nothing major, but he needed stitches. He couldn't stand to look at them. I knew that he had an issue with scars, but I thought that he would be fine until we had sex for the first time. We usually have a good mix of positions, but it seemed like he would only put me in doggy or reverse cowgirl. I knew we were in trouble the first time I turned around and I could feel him go soft. Like as soon as he saw my chest, he was out. He claimed that he came, but I didn't think that was the case. I also noticed that he didn't initiate after the surgery, something he did regularly before. I felt like he did want to look at me, but I was determined to make him rip the Band-Aid off. He would ask for other positions, but I felt like he was telling me to turn away from him. It made me feel ugly. The worst part was that he wouldn't just tell me that he didn't like my chest. I couldn't fix anything because he wouldn't even tell me what the issue was.